Hello, Mr. Dowse here, and in this two-part video we're going to look at Python Programming Lesson 6. Now the first part of the video is going to be a recap on everything that we've covered from lessons 1 to 5, so if any of that's been a little bit troublesome for you or you don't fully understand it, then please watch this first video. If you fully understood lessons 1 to 5 and you didn't have any problems with your if statements or your for loops, then by all means jump straight to the second video. Okay, by now we should know what iteration is. We should be able to name 3 comparison operators and 3 logical operators. We should know what plagiarism is from a previous unit. While we're in lockdown, that may not be the case, and we may not necessarily know these HTML tags. But we should know iteration is looping, and we should know that comparison and logical operators are part of an if statement, so we could have greater than, less than, and equal to, and we could have and, or not. Lesson objectives, we're going to understand basic key terms and syntax, we're going to create, edit, debug and run basic programs, and we're going to demonstrate enthusiasm regarding programming. We're getting to the end of the Python module now, and I'm hoping that you're starting to realise that you're becoming, or you've got quite a lot of power in your hands now in terms of what you can do with the programs you're starting to write. Quick recap on syntax and data types. So syntax is the way that we structure our programs, and data types are types of variable. We've got 5 types of variable. We've got integers, which are whole numbers. We've got floats, which are decimal numbers. We've got strings, which is anything in quotes, which could be a decimal number, a integer number, or a string of characters. As long as they're in quotes, they're considered a string. We've got Boolean variables, which can either be true or false. And we've got a list, which is a multitude of different values stored in a single variable. Okay, so think of it like a shopping list. Bit of a recap on how a variable works. We give it a name. Here I've given the variable name myvar, and in this analogy the variable is a box, so I've called the box myvar. In it I've put something to keep for long-term storage. I put in the string variable store me and I tape it up, but at any point in the future I can find the box called myvar and I can find out what string was stored inside it. Housekeeping, remember to keep copies of all your Python code, remember to save it as the relevant task. I want snips of the code that you create, I want snips of any bugs that you get so I can see that you've been able to debug it, and I want you to show me the outputs of your code. Algorithm recap, again something that we've looked at several times, but an algorithm is a step-by-step series of instructions on how to perform a complex task. We talked about how to bake a cake, and without a recipe, if you're just given a handful of ingredients and told make a cake, that could be quite a complex task. You wouldn't know the quantities in which to put all of the different ingredients into the bowl, you wouldn't know what temperature to put the mix into the oven or for how long for, unless somebody gave you a recipe or an algorithm which was a step-by-step series of instructions for performing that complex task. String concatenation, well, that means to join or glue 2 strings together. So in this analogy we've got the string key and board, and if we use the plus to glue our strings together, to concatenate our strings, we get a single string keyboard. If we use the comma, so we've got key, comma, board, then Python automatically puts a space in for us, and although we've only got 1 string, it has got a space between it. So they're the 2 ways that we can concatenate a string in Python. We also looked at variables. We know what data types are, so what sorts of variables we can have. We can have integer, string, float, boolean and list. And we know what a variable is. It's a storage space in memory. But the reason we need to know more about it and the reason we need to use it is because in order for our programs to be useful, we have to store information that we get from a number of different sources in different places. We need to be able to manipulate that data in some way and then feed it back to the user. So we've looked a couple of times at the rules for variable declaration to say what is a valid variable and what is an invalid variable. We should by now know that you can't have spaces in variable names, you can't have minuses, pluses, multiplications or divides because they're seen as mathematical symbols. So we can't have 2 things because that again looks like a mathematical equation, 2 raised to the power of things. We can, however, have all capital letters, all lowercase letters, we can have underscores, and we can have numbers as long as they're not at the start. So this particular variable, my underscore variable 2, is completely fine, whereas all the rest are invalid for some reason or another. Conditional statements, something we looked at in week 4, I believe. A conditional statement is an if statement. It's a true or false condition. So if something evaluates to true, you're going to do one thing, and if it doesn't evaluate to true, then you're going to do something else. Example that we talked about was, you say to your mum, can I go on my Xbox? And she says, if you've done your homework, then yes. So if homework is done equals true, you can go on your Xbox. If homework done equals false, then no, you can't go on your Xbox. That's a conditional statement, and that's what we've looked at in terms of Python programming. Operators, like we looked at in the knowledge recall questions at the start there. Well, we've got equal to, not to be confused with equals. Okay, so not just a single equals. Equals is equal to. Not equal to looks like this or like this. Less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. All of those things provide a true or false statement. If we need more than one statement to be true in order to process down a particular path, then we can join two if statements together. So here's an example. If your bedroom is equal to tidy and your homework is equal to done, then you can go on your Xbox. But if your bedroom isn't tidy or your homework isn't done, well, in that case, you can't go on your Xbox. So now it's harder to get a true statement because two conditions have to be met in order for you to be able to go on your Xbox. We could say or instead of in joining our if statements, and this makes life a lot easier because now if your bedroom is tidy or you've loaded the dishwasher, well, then you can go on your Xbox. These were obviously two jobs you had to do, but if you've done either one of them, well, then your mum's happy enough and she'll let you go on your Xbox. So this time you could have just tidied your bedroom or just loaded the dishwasher, and either way, whichever one of those is true, you get to go on your Xbox. We can have an if not, so if the condition isn't true, so if not school tomorrow, well then, yes, you can go on your Xbox. If you have got school tomorrow, no, you can't. Early night. Okay, so that's how operators within if statements work. Casting, really, really important, something that a lot of students got tied up with and struggled a little bit. Casting means to change a variable type, e.g. a string to an int. When you get an input from the user, this is always entered as a string, even if the user types a number. So let's think about the Python program we wrote where we were guessing a number between 1 and 100. The user will enter in a number because we asked them to, but it will come in as a string because anything entered from the user will always come in as a string, even if the user types it as a number. Okay, so we're going to need to cast it because casting means to change that variable, for example, from a string to an int. Obviously, this can be a problem if we need a number, that's why we're going to do it. And obviously, 23 as a string is not the same as 23 as an integer. So what we would do, for example, is we'd say age equals input enter age, and if I, for example, entered 23, it would be stored currently as 23 in quotes. But if I then said age, which is my variable name, is equal to the integer value of whatever's stored in age, which is currently the string 23, well, that would convert that into the integer number 23 and store it back in age. So now age is worth integer 23, not string 23. And that's what casting means, and that's really, really important to us. Iteration, one of my favourite ones, this. I say to a student, what does iteration mean? And they say, I don't know, sir. So I say, well, what does iteration mean? And they say, I don't know, sir. So I say, what does iteration mean? And they say, I don't know, sir. And I say, no, I'm giving you a clue. What does iteration mean? And eventually, after I've said it for the 20th time, what does iteration mean? What does iteration mean? What does iteration mean? You realise that I'm just saying the same thing over and over and over again, because iteration means to repeat. To iterate means to do the same thing over and over. For example, repeat the same piece of code. Okay, so that's what we looked at last lesson. We looked at iteration in a for loop. So when you create a loop, the code you want to repeat must be indented. An indent's like a big space. To get an indent, you use the tab key. This is the tab key. We never ever use the spacebar key to create an indent. That would give us a syntax error. So we have to indent our loop code after the colon. We'll see an example of that in a minute. To get the indent, we use the tab key. We do not use the spacebar. So last lesson, we learnt about while loops. Okay, no we didn't. Last lesson we learned about for loops, and this lesson we're going to learn about while loops. Okay, so this is the end of the recap. It's a little bit quicker this time because we have done that several times before. If you feel that I flew through it and you want to see some of that in a bit more detail, then please look at one of my previous videos where I do go through that in a little bit more detail. But for now, that's the end of this video, and we're going to start looking at the tasks in video 2. Thanks for watching.